I'm the best at what I do. Oh, there's my glasses. Terrific. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us, part 3. My name is Justin Nogle, divulging to the world that I have bipolar disorder and anxiety disorder. But jokes aside, I'm doing this to really shed light on mental illness and really hope to help people and help you. So, besides the fact that that Wolverine mask is awesome, I'm clawing my way back. And that's what I've been doing since 2008. I didn't mention in the last video that in 2005, I graduated from Cleveland State University with my degree in health sciences with a psychology minor. Wow, right? Psychology minor. Abnormal psych was very interesting to me. So I went back there, and then I actually studied physical therapy for a while at Cleveland State, actually twice, and my mental stability wasn't there, and I realized I wasn't able to do it. My heart wasn't in it. My mind wasn't in it. But what I tell people is that I decided I didn't want to help people. So that's my explanation for leaving the PT program. So that's why I'm here, to help people after that. So I mentioned in the last video it took me 10 years and going off my meds cold turkey 3 times to accept the fact that I have mental illness. And since then, I've been on a pretty steady cocktail of meds. And I've had to make tweaks here and there with jobs and different stresses in life. But it's been pretty steady. I'm on the kind of tried and true lithium for bipolar disorder. And I also take Lamictal and Wellbutrin. So I could go on and on about all the meds I've taken and all the nasty side effects I've experienced, and then all the meds I've had to take to combat those side effects, which actually created their own. But we don't have time for that. The good news is, at this day and time, this day and age, these aren't Generation 1 meds. They're very effective, can really help. And with the guidance of a psychiatrist and working with a counselor, psychologist, the assistance and help of family and friends, and particular for me, God and His guidance and love, there's recovery. It can happen. I will say, and to be fully honest, that there are some very severe mental illness cases that it's very hard to live what many would consider a normal life, whatever that actually means. So I can't say with 100% certainty that every situation can be taken care of. But much of it is treatable, even though these illnesses aren't curable per se. They can be treated and recovery is possible. So on my way when I got back from 2008, my California trip, I had, after my college degree and graduate program time, I had some jobs that, I thought were embarrassing or, I don't know, not what I could be doing or should be doing. And when I think about it now, it's more pride than anything. I'm thinking I'm better than the jobs. But I worked them and worked my way up and tried to recover. I remember I got into a retail job like 3 months after I got back from California. So it was November of 2008. So I was clawing my way back. And the support that I've had has been tremendous. My parents and sister give me a lot of credit for my, ability to dig deep and recover. And maybe that's there, but I attribute that to God and to my family, friends, meds, counseling, etc. So at one of my embarrassing jobs, I was on my way to this job one morning, and I was crossing over this bridge that I crossed over every day to get to work and back. And I happened to look over and I saw a bundle of flowers and such, and got a call from a friend almost instantly after seeing that. And I had the sickest feeling in my stomach. And I found out that a friend from Ultimate Frisbee, from volleyball, life, had taken his own life. And I had been advised maybe before that he had bipolar disorder. And he took his life. And it crushed my spirit, and it still does. I felt like a shell of myself at work. I don't know how I sold stuff at my job. It was devastating. Depression is horrible, and mania is nasty as well. The biggest time that suicide can become such a scary option is when people are depressed and have no desire to live, but no energy or wherewithal to do anything about it. And then they move into mania, or at least some kind of stability, and find the means or will or desire to take their lives. This is one of the primary reasons I'm doing this. I hear more and more about suicides. Celebrities, friends, family. Devastating is not the word. And if I can reach even one person through these videos and prevent them from harming themselves, or worse, if I can prevent you from hurting yourself, then this has all been worthwhile. I was given the opportunity to speak in 2012. So my mom had pushed for NAMI for a long time. She said, you should get involved, you can help. And I fought it, and I fought it, and I fought it. And I went in and met some people, and there was a table of us, and all just giving a little glimpse of our story. And some of the most wonderful people working there, these women that I worked with, asked me if I wanted to speak before the NAMI Walk luncheon, the preparatory NAMI Walk luncheon in 2012. I was very close to marrying my wife of almost 6 years, and I was stunned. I couldn't believe they actually asked me to speak for that. And honestly, that was one of the most defining moments of my life and one of the best of my life. I spoke to, 100, 150, 200 people, media, psychiatrists, counselors, people working at NAMI. My mom was there. My wife was there. And they were so receptive to the speech, and it was incredible. And it wasn't for me, but man, did it feel good to be able to get that out there and help share my story. Side note, I mentioned my wife. So our very first date, we went to go see Thor, the very first Thor, in 2011, and then went to have sushi. It was a very expensive date, but I knew she was a keeper, so it was well worthwhile. So we went to Thor, went to sushi, had a really nice time, ended up hanging out longer after dinner and bringing Angela back home. And I felt very compelled on our first date to tell her about my mental illness. Even then, still to this day, it is so hard to share, especially with the people closest to you. I told Angela that night, and she didn't blink. She didn't bat an eye. She didn't cast her head down. She didn't gasp. She took it with such stride that it blew my mind. It blew my mind. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. It doesn't have to be this big, scary thing. Mental illness is just like any other illness. And I was blown away. And here we are, almost 6 years married later, 7 years together, roughly. She's my partner in crime and an excellent videographer and video editor. So I get stronger by the day. I'm not impervious to the effects of mental illness. I have up and down days. Interestingly enough, I haven't really felt super depressed in a very long time. Thank you, God. But in the past few days, I've felt more down and kind of despairing than I have in a very long time, many years. I hope to get into that more in a faith talk that I'm planning. But suffice it to say, it seemed like stuff was fighting me making these videos. The despairing, just short of breath and hopeless and just stomach churning and just nauseated. I haven't felt so like that in a long time. Like, it sounds extreme, but like my soul is being sucked out. It's horrifying. However, I do get stronger by the day. With the meds, counseling, my family, my wife, and my friends. This is possible. I can recover. Without God, none of this would have been possible, and I definitely look forward to delving into that later. But I could have died several times in offshoot stories. I could have been fully arrested, legit arrested, and messed up for life, and then I've been miraculously restored, and then some. It's been a journey. It really has. And I really appreciate you guys going on this with me. So I want to say too that I'm incredibly fortunate that somehow I've been able to have all my mental faculties with me. I feel like I've scrambled my brain so many times that I would just be done. And I'm humbled by this restoration. Now, I want to talk about stigma. One of the primary reasons I don't come out and tell people about my mental illness all the time, and many people don't either. To be fair, I want to say that I feel like depression is gaining traction as acceptable. It's a weird way to phrase it, but people are recognizing the damage that depression can do. But I feel like when you start to get into bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, multiple personality disorder, etc., that's when it gets a little too weird, and we have a long way to go. I was talking to my mom about this the other day, and it's a divisive comment potentially. But every act of violence we see on the news tends to immediately be blamed on mental illness. And while most of us that wouldn't commit such acts find it unfathomable that someone would actually do this stuff without a mental illness background to cause it, that's not the case all the time. I don't have any stats, but it's not all the time. But all of this kind of lumping all crime and terrible acts into a mental illness box it's not helping our cause. I mean, this causes great fear of those with mental illness. I'm wearing this X-Men shirt and the Wolverine mask because that's what it is. It really is. We're essentially mutants. We're seen that way a lot of the time. Misunderstood. And it's upsetting, and it causes great, fear of that stigma. Why would I mention this to the world, that I have bipolar disorder. Secondly, it's not true. There are people out there determined to hurt and endanger and kill other people. The word evil might sound extreme, but it's legitimate. Could there be mental illness? Maybe, but not necessarily. And I think that's what we need to look at. It's never just a simple answer. With stats of mental illness, as I mentioned earlier in another video, being 1 in 5 in the U.S., that at some point in their lives, 1 in 5 people in the U.S. will experience mental illness, I'm quite certain that many people you know that suffer from mental illness are living potentially a normal or productive life, at least within their affected abilities. So to go further, this is a big journey. There's a lot that needs to be done. This isn't something that can be fixed in one day. I wish I knew how to fix this. But the best thing I can say right now is to seek help, please. You are not alone. You are not alone. Together we can cure stigma. I'll be right back. So after my embarrassing jobs, as I called them, over the past 5 years, I was working in IT, and I left that job recently as manager to consider the teaching field, and for now work as a substitute teacher. I felt called and compelled out of my previous job into this to enable me to pursue my passions of music and mental health advocacy. And this, I hope, is a start to that. I've given over a dozen NAMI speeches since 2012, and they've been an incredible experience. I feel honored to be asked every single time. I had this 10-year anniversary of California. Where I am right now, it's the NAMI Walk season. On September 15th this year is the NAMI Walk, National Alliance on Mental Illness Walk, for getting the word out. And their thing this year, especially, is Cure Stigma. I'm all about it. Done the NAMI Walk for several years, and I'm ashamed and embarrassed to say that in the past I've feared reaching out for donations and haven't been very aggressive about it. And whether it's laziness or fear, I'm not happy about it. Being worried about exposing my deep, dark secret. It should not be this way. So this year was different. It was drastic. I was thinking about the NAMI Walk when we wanted to create a team, and my parents and Angela's parents are joining us, and our church group. And I woke up one morning and felt incredibly driven to reach out to my family. I composed a really long email and sent it out to many members of my side of the family and some of my best friends, the best men from my wedding, and got a great response, not just financially, but just, people pouring out their praise for reaching out and speaking up, and not having to be afraid about it. A few weeks, maybe a week or two later after that, actually, I had this feeling, this suspicion, it's not the right word, this compulsion that I should take my story to a bigger stage, a much bigger stage. Again, one that can be shared and commented on, and hopefully can make a difference. I've seen other people speak about mental illness and suicide of friends, and Mayim Bialik from Big Bang Theory does tons of videos about her own struggles with social anxiety and such. And those kind of videos were just fuel for the fire. I'm here because I want to help. If I can reach even one person with this video, it's been a success. You are not alone. What the heck is this? So, many years ago at church, we were given these batons, PVC pipe cut Very nice, though, for an intruder. I'm not condoning violence, never mind. But we were supposed to write something on them that we'd like to achieve that we can then pass on to the future. I found this fairly recently and is something I truly aspire to. It says, become a beacon of light, radiant for all to see. It's really hard to write on this, by the way. So now I'm passing you the baton. It's time to assemble. Let's do this. We wear many masks, but we're here to help each other. Sending this video out, talking to your friends, your family, you literally may be saving someone's life. And if that's not what superheroes do, I don't know what is. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I missed my ear. Let's try this again. Please comment on these videos. Please share them with your friends, family, others. I know they can be disjointed, and honestly, that's how my mind works, and that's how a lot of people's minds work. But if anything else, I hope it's entertaining and keeps you engaged. I would love to meet you in the comments section and talk about these things. I really want to help any way I can. More videos are to come. These initial 3 are what I wanted to focus on, but I do plan to make that video about rage and suppression, and then another about faith. So I'm going to make a playlist for these 3 videos, and then have them linked in the description below. And I hope to have those future guests on here as well. But without further ado, thank you for watching. Thank you for being awesome. Please, please know that you are not alone, and help me to cure stigma once and for all. Peace.